I'm Dr. G, and for the past 10 years of my life, I've been passionate about all things holistic healing. I've been committed to healing myself and others from the inside out by incorporating some of the most effective modalities for healing the mental, the emotional, and the physical. I've learned that they give us the opportunity to be our most authentic and powerful selves. Heal Thyself is a show dedicated to just that. Today's show is going to be incredible, and I say it every week, of course I do, because it is incredible. Knowledge bombs of digestible information to empower and create clarity on what the highest version of us looks like. Product reviews to provide informed consent so you can buy the safest and best products out there. Better than the first two that I spoke about, and you're getting other B vitamins, which are energizing, right? Get off of it, throw it away. And special guest segments with some of the brightest and most elite minds in their field.
So what is that like on my nervous system? 6 hours of holding that emotion.
Here's the earth. Here's the mechanisms and mechanics of an earth when it breathes. We would think much different about that asthma patient that shows up.
All to create change in all the parts that make you, you, so we can start healing ourselves and each other. All right, everyone, on today's special show of Heal Thyself, before we get into anything, as always, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come listen to the show. Take whatever knowledge resonates with you, take it for yourself, become healthier mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and then also give that knowledge to others. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. It's a beautiful thing that we are doing. So thank you for joining the show. Today's show is going to be awesome. Look, Knowledge Bomb segment, I really want to cover something that has changed my life and my relationship to abundance, right? What I mean by that is money story, and how a lot of our experience with abundance is tied to our thoughts, our stories that we've had for quite a long time. So this is going to be a really good show, especially because all of us can attract more abundance on the financial realm, which is beautiful, right? And ain't nothing wrong with that. We're going to go into some things, but also our guest. What an amazing guest. I have Dr. Diane Fong coming in. And she is actually someone that I've known for quite a while. I went to school with her back in Connecticut. And when I moved out to California, I worked in her clinic. We became friends. And she's one of the most knowledgeable doctors that I've met, period, across the board, but also one of the most humble and driven doctors, driven to do better by everyone. She wants to heal the world. And it's the same energy we bring to Heal Thyself, period. So we're going to talk about toxins. We're going to talk about not only where they are found, but she's going to talk about the importance of detox and how to detox. And not from the perspective of a detox in a box, buy this for this amount. It's a lot of these detoxes are really fake out there and not doing right by us, but she's going to do it from the naturopathic perspective to talk about the really big fundamentals of how to support your own digestive mechanism. So it's amazing stuff. I can't wait to get to that guest interview. We've had her on the show in the past. So if you haven't checked that out, check that one out after this. But before we get to the Knowledge Bomb segment, let's just get a little word from our beautiful, wonderful sponsors. All right, before we jump into the show, I want to talk a little bit about Ned. I'm always excited to talk about Ned. They've been sponsoring the show for quite a while now, and it's my choice for CBD. So I get a lot of DMs, Dr. G, what's your favorite CBD? Which one should I go for? And it's the same thing all the time, right? Because at this point, it's the highest quality CBD that I found, period. It's the best company around. A few reasons why. Well, they utilize full spectrum hemp. And that means it contains all of the cannabinoids, not like the ones that are out there that have isolates, but they have all of the cannabinoids. And what that's doing is targeting different parts of your system, not all the same ones, which is so important for a holistic effect to the body. Here's my favorite one. It's extracted from organically grown hemp plants from Paonia, Colorado. It has 0 isolates, 0 synthetic ingredients, and third-party tests across the board. Go on their website right now and you'll see that every single one of their SKUs that they have COAs for every single ingredient in there, and all of them look fantastic. And that's how it should be, particularly because a few years ago, there came out a report that the majority of the CBD companies out there have toxic impurities in there that could be making you sick over time. So if your goal is to treat something, then you have to have a high quality CBD for that. So 0 isolates, no synthetic ingredients, and super transparent. I started using that about 4 months ago, and it improved my sleep. My sleep has been wonderful. 50 million Americans suffer from sleep disorders, right? So many of the time, you're going to go to your doctor and you're going to be prescribed a sleeping pill, and subsequently you can become addicted to it. And that's the biggest problem that I start seeing. So for me, they have a really nice sleep blend that's not just the CBD aspect, the full spectrum, but also has really high quality herbs in there, which are going to calm down your nervous system to help your body know that it's safe to go to sleep. But on top of that, it's an anti-inflammatory. It's something that I was utilizing over and over after I got a minor surgery back in April, and I was able to heal the cuts and bruises much faster. So I can't say enough good things about the Ned CBD line, one of my favorite sponsors that I've been honoring since the first go around. It's amazing stuff. And as a give back to the Heal Thyself listener, you're gonna get 15% off your first purchase, 20% off of your first membership purchase, and the memberships are great. You're gonna get 15% off of every purchase as a member. So where are you gonna go? helloned.com/DRG. And the code at checkout is DRG. That's HELLONED.com/DRG. You're going to get 15% off of your first one-time order or 20% off of your first subscription order plus free shipping. One of my favorite new supplements that I've been using to my regimen has been the Masszymes by Biooptimizers. What it is a pancreatic enzyme, and it's going to help provide optimal digestive function and gut health. So you have to think about the digestive system. We have the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, right? The colon. And it stands true, particularly early on in digestion when you're trying to break down the food. And a major part of this breakdown process comes with your pancreas. Your pancreas is not solely responsible for insulin and blood sugar, but also exocrine pancreatic enzymes. These are the enzymes that are going to help break down your food. And guess what? When you're stressed, as we all are, most of the day, those enzymes are getting the signal to turn down. And what's happening is when we eat in that stress state, we're getting symptoms like heartburn or bloating or changes in our bowel movements. And it's because we're not properly digesting these nutrients. So really, that's when the support of pancreatic enzymes comes in. And I've used them on and off for quite a while now. The highest quality one that I have found up to date is the Masszymes by Biooptimizers. It's a best-in-class supplement, and it's full spectrum, meaning that it has all the proper enzymes at the proper dosages to break down proteins, starches, sugars, fibers, and fats. So by taking these, you're helping support your pancreas to help break down foods, especially in those stress states. So the way I do it is I take 3 before breakfast, before lunch, and before dinner. And I've noticed, especially when I'm really on the go and running around and I have a busy week, and it really helps me with the bloating that can come in those states. So anytime you feel digestive distress when you're eating, it may be that you need pancreatic enzymes. My favorite one is the Masszymes by Biooptimizers. And here's where you get them. www.masszymes.com/DRG. And at the checkout, the code is DRG10. You're going to get 10% off. That's www.masszymes.com/DRG. All right, knowledge bomb segment. Now, there's a reason why I haven't touched into money story stuff for quite a while. Initially, I remember putting up a post. Man, it must have been like 2017. And it was a post on attracting abundance. And I don't care who you are, we can all attract more abundance. Actually, we're all worthy of more abundance. And I put up the post and it did really poorly. No one wanted to hear it. And I think that as time went on, I really sat on this knowledge that I want to share for a little bit because I didn't feel that people were necessarily ready or wanting to. But I feel like you guys are now. And I could be wrong, but regardless, if it resonates, as always, listen, I'm just a talking head up here. If it resonates with you, then listen. If it's imprinted in you, right? And you shut off your phone and, you walk downstairs to the kitchen and you're still thinking about what you heard or a certain line, then know that that's something deeper that's imprinted in you, right? It's a knowing that you're capable of that and you have it. So that's what I want to share with you. So, man, so many of us have such a skewed relationship with money. I was that person, and man, it really was stressful, right? Because the story that I grew up with, and I know my dad's a listener, so, your parents are always doing the best that they can with whatever they're given. So all the love to everyone who's provided for me as a kid. But I would say they were fairly humble beginnings, especially growing up in New York. And early on, remember, this isn't just my story. It's for everyone's story. It doesn't matter how you grew up. The whole point is understanding your relationship. Your early experiences tend to pretty much set the precedent for the rest of your life experiences with that person or object or set or setting, whatever it is. So my early experiences were I didn't really know what money was. I just knew that we had food on the table, and that was beautiful. That was great. There was times where money fluctuated, and it was tight at times. And when I really understood what money was and my relationship, started understanding my relationship to it, it unfortunately fell in a time where we were going through a tight spell. And a lot of my early definitions and relations with money were based on scarcity. And guess what? It's not just me. Most of you who are listening out here have a scarcity story around money. It's true. And that's okay. But guess what? That's a story that's been fed for so many of us, that there's not enough, that you're not enough, right? And the scarcity is the very sponsoring thought that drives our relationship with it. But I'm here to tell you that changing your relationship can potentially, almost every single time I've worked with someone on this, change your experience and create and attract more abundance. Now, you're probably listening going, what the heck is this guy talking about? You mean to tell me if I do a mantra, my experience with money will change? Yeah, it will. And I've worked with a lot of people on this, and every single person, without fail, attracted new opportunities, new people, new places, new things, new situations, whatever it is, to open up that possibility and create more abundance. So first step, and I remember, I'll tell a little bit of my story, and maybe you'll resonate with this. I remember my friend back in 2017, she sent me this, it might have been it was just a YouTube interview. And it was this girl talking about operating systems. And for me, I was like, operating system? She's talking about my operating system. Okay, so then I'm sort of like a machine, like an artificial intelligence machine, right? An ancient intelligence machine, even better. But I'm this machine that's running on an operating system. Then she posed a question, in your money story, where's your operating system running? And then I stopped and I thought to myself, my operating system is not running on any reality for the past 20 years. It's running on a reality that was true when I was 11 years old, when I was 10 years old. And there was that scarcity spell that we had in my family. And then in that moment, it hit me that my money story was sponsored by a reality that is not true anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. In many ways, that story revalidated throughout my life, right? Oh, money's scarce. Money's tight. I shouldn't really do this. I don't deserve to pay this much for something. Oh, that's too much for a green juice. Oh no, this is way too much to pay for lunch. I can't go out, and just making ends meet. And it was a story that was created based on that memory, right? That operating system sponsorship that needed to be operated, right? I was living in 1994 when it should have been updated to 2016. So when it hit me, I knew that my operating system was off. So I'm asking you guys right now, ladies and gentlemen, think about if your operating system is off, because if it is off, then maybe, just maybe, you have an opportunity to update it, right? So then I said, well, what the heck is my relationship with money? And then I thought about it this way. If money is energy, it's not material. If it's energy, the act of giving money away or receiving it is an energetic exchange. Then, if I'm personifying money, and I'm hearing people call money the root of all evil, which is crazy to me, and I personify it to a female, a lover. If you had a lover and that lover said you were the root of all evil, you think that lover would ever want to be a part of your life? And how about this? If that lover of yours came into your life, but you held it on, just like you do money, you held it on so tightly, and you go, no, you can't go anywhere. You're here and you're in my bank account and you're not going to move. You think that lover is going to want to stay? And it hit me in those moments. If I think about money as energy, then it can completely change my experience. And I'll never forget the very moment when I put that into practice. I was at Whole Foods in San Francisco, and I remember seeing a green juice. It was like a $9 green juice, right? And for me, I'm walking past it and I was like, oh, I want that green juice. And I grab it and I saw the price. I go, no, forget it. $9 green juice is too much. Forget it. I'm not gonna do that. And in that moment, it hit me. I go, what am I doing? I'm walking away from a $9 green juice that is going to nourish my cells, right? The story I told myself is I don't deserve to nourish myself with a green juice because I'm not worth the $9. And I said, forget that. I'm worth that and more. So I went and I bought the green juice. But I'll never forget that moment because it's the moment I put it into play. And after that, I kept putting it into play. So it was again in San Francisco, and there was a homeless person right, like I was walking up the street and they were right there, and they had a little bucket in front of them. And I remember reaching to my wallet because I knew I had a 20 in there, and I had some other cash, smaller bills. And then right when I was pulling the 20 out, I go, 20 is going to be too much. I shouldn't do that. So then I went to grab the 5 and I said, forget it. Whatever's it, who cares what's in my bank account? That person deserves to take that 20, with the highest amount of dollars that I have in my wallet, and I deserve to give it. And what I noticed was something very powerful in that moment. The more I gave, the more I attracted back. And it was pretty incredible. None more blatant than this exact moment. 2018, there was Malibu fires out here. I moved to LA, and the fires were out here. And I was just recently dating this girl, and her friend's house burned down, right? And I met her once. She wasn't really my friend, but it was my girlfriend's friend. And I remember they did a GoFundMe. And for those who don't know, it's just a raising money to help a cause or a benefit. And there's a website, and they did the GoFundMe, and I immediately am drawn to the number $350. I go, I want to give $350. That's a good number for me. And then as I'm like putting in the numbers, I go, ooh, that's a lot. And then the ego comes in, right? Oh, you don't really know this girl. Like you met her. I mean, like, I'm sure that other people are putting money. I'm sure they're going to raise that and more. What's my 3? All of these stories. And I said, forget it. I'm going to give this person $350 because that was what deep down inside I wanted to. And this is, listen closely because I'm getting somewhere with this. And I gave that, and I gave it away, and I felt good about it. As soon as I removed the ego, I felt good about it. I kid you not. It wasn't until maybe 2 hours later, I finished with a patient, and I'll never forget this. They overpaid me by $350. And then I go to them, I say, hey, this is the first visit that you're paying for. You already paid that. That's the first visit price. It's less the follow-up because we only took 30 minutes. And she goes, it's okay. I love you as a doctor and you do so much work for me. Keep it. It wasn't 2 hours until I gave away $350 and it came back in another route. The whole point I'm trying to make is this. The easier it is for you to let go of money. Now, it might be hard. I mean, a lot of you may be cringing. I promise you I was the biggest cringer of all. The easier it is for you to let go of money, the easier it is to receive it, okay? And lastly, I'm going to give you my mantra. And if it resonates with you, do it. But if you're going to do it every single day and do it without fail. Because it is a mantra that changed my life. I learned it from no one. I just created it. And this is the mantra I gave to so many people that I've helped with their money story and helped change their operating system, right? It goes like this. And I would do it in the shower. This is the way that it would work best for me. Because I know I'm going to shower every day. I know if I'm showering and I do it, then I'm always going to do it. And I did it every day for 3 months. It goes like this. I love money. Money loves me. I let money go. I let money grow. I let money come back and flow. Okay? That simple mantra is so powerful because think about what you said. I love money. I used to cringe when I said that, right? Because I had such a judgment for people who are making money and who are abundant and who are doing well. Because then I go, it's so evil. Why are you attracting that evil, right? The stories that we hear, right? Through many different routes. I love money. Money loves me. Well, what do you mean money loves me? Money doesn't love me. That's not my experience. I'm making ends meet. I'm living in scarcity. Money doesn't love me, right? So understand the language on this. I let money go. Oh my God, a lot of us are going to start cringing. I can't let money go. I can't give that homeless person the $20 that I have. No. I let money grow, meaning that I don't see it, but I know that it's growing, and I let money come back and flow. You're creating this understanding that you have something by the very act of you letting it go, that's reinstating to yourself and your human experience that you have it to let go. And that's one of the most powerful understandings you can ever make, ever. Do it within your budget. But understand, the more you let go, the more it comes back in flow. And understand this mantra is so powerful because every single time you say it, you're reinstating it to yourself, but you're also creating new neural connections in your brain. And by creating new neural connections in your brain, you're changing the frequency of the thoughts that are coming out. You're changing the frequency of the antenna that you are, the signal that you're putting out, which is so, so powerful. Now, here's the last part of the practice. You have the mantra. When you do it in the shower, say it. But say it until it feels authentic, until you don't feel a cringe anymore. Now, this may be the hard part because I've said it, and I've said it up to 50, 100 times. And maybe on the 101st time, I go, okay, that one felt good. And then I stop. But until it feels good, do not leave that shower. Do not leave what you're doing until it feels good, and then move out. And then the next day, do it. You'll notice, generally speaking, that over time, it'll start feeling good faster and more authentic faster. Right? So towards the end, I would say it maybe 5, 10 times. Other times I'd say just 3. And I was like, oh, that was it. I got it. But you'll notice in the beginning, you may be in that shower for quite a while or whatever you're doing. But until it feels authentic, it has to feel true in your bones, in your tendons, in your nervous system, in your cells. And when you feel that truth behind what you're saying, it's so much more powerful, it's so much more natural, it's so much more authentic. You start recreating the brain connections and start recreating your stories. Now, I'm not going to say this. Listen, if you're in a job, a lot of you are going, that doesn't make sense, Dr. Gonzalez, because, I'm getting paid $20 an hour in a job and I'm making ends meet and it's really tough. I understand that. I'm full in compassion and sympathy and love for that because I've been there. I know exactly what that is. But that's not to say that when you're creating through this mantra and putting it out there, that's not to say that you're opening the realm of possibilities for other incomes to flow, for other opportunities to come to you. Keep an open mind, pay attention to what you're attracting, because the very act of saying this mantra and updating your operating system will change your whole experience. The very last part of it, and I'll let you go with this, is this. Look at people, this is really important. Look at people who are doing well with love. If you look at the people who are doing well, especially in your field, and you have jealousy, judgment, resentment, oh, that's wrong. What are they talking about? They don't know what they're talking about. Oh, I hate the way he says this. He's not even communicating it right. She's not even doing it right. The more your ego starts sponsoring things, the more that you're holding down, and ironically, your greatest success. The more you look at people you're in quote unquote competition with love, and know that as much as they're attaining is there for you. There's always enough. The pie is always big enough for every single person, regardless of whatever you've ever been taught or ever been told. The power is this. When you look at your competition, or when you look at other people who are doing well with love and success and gratitude, then you open up your ability and your full experience. It's incredible because essentially what you're doing is giving love right back to yourself. Keep that in mind. I promise you all, you deserve to be abundant. Money is not evil. Money is energy. Don't be afraid to let it go. Have faith that it's coming back and flowing and growing just for you. You deserve to be abundant. You deserve to do whatever you want. You deserve to travel the world if you want to do that. You deserve to support your family if you want to do that. You deserve to give money to charities if you want to do that. Whatever it is, understand what you value, but understand that money is your right. That energy exchange is your right. Abundance is your right. And here I'm just giving you some of the things that have worked for me. Full of love, full of joy, full of gratitude. Before we get into this segment with one of my favorite doctors, Dr. Diane Fong, I want to tell you about what is one of my favorite additions to my home in the past 2 months. It has been the Birch mattress. Now, here's the thing. If you're sleeping on a mattress that's not accommodating to your comfort level, there's going to be a problem. Why? Because you're pushing down and creating pressure points on a mattress that's not going to be aligned with your weight. And if it's creating those pressure points, you're going to be moving around. And if you're going to be moving around, you're taking away from your restful sleep, especially if you're waking up throughout the night. And in those times of restful sleep, that's a time where we're rejuvenating, regenerating ourselves, healing ourselves. On top of that, Imagine if you're sleeping on a mattress that is off-gassing for the life of the mattress. Now your body's trying to rejuvenate, but also being inundated with these off-gassing chemicals hour after hour. This is why a high-quality mattress is so important. This is why my favorite one is Birch Living. That's the one that I have. I'm such a proponent. I stand tall on top of the mountain and tell everyone how much I love this mattress. So Birch is a premium mattress in the box company. It makes mattresses and other sleep products that are not only comfortable, which I can absolutely attest to for months and months and months, but it's also environmentally conscious, which is so, so important to me. And non-toxic being one of the most important things across the board for everything in my life. But really, the mattress has to be non-toxic. So all of their materials are sourced here in America, and they come straight from nature. Organic latex has a certification, New Zealand wool, American steel springs, and organic cotton, right? So none of these materials are going to be off-gassing, but it's also the wool going to be acting as a flame retardant. So it's not adding those synthetic flame retardants that are causing so many of these chemicals to be off-gas into the air when you're sleeping on the bed. And it's been amazing. It's been the best bed that I've had, period. When my partner sleeps on the bed, I don't wake up, and I wake up for everything. I don't wake up at all throughout the night. It's so strong and sturdy, but also so soft that I can get a restful, nice sleep. It's been day and night. And I slept on a bunch of really good quality mattresses. To date, this has been the best one. I'm so happy that I have one. And I've got a bunch of my friends who are in the market for a new mattress to go ahead and get this one. And the upside is when you purchase a Birch mattress, you're going to get 2 really comfortable pillows. They're 2 EcoRest pillows, and they're made from recycled plastic bottles. Anytime you order a Birch mattress, you're going to get a 100-night sleep trial. You know, a mattress can be a big commitment. But the amazing thing is if you sleep on it, not everyone's the same, right? You sleep on it, you're not a fan. Birch is going to have the mattress picked up and get you a full refund. I don't know many companies that are doing 100-night sleep trials. It's amazing stuff. But if you end up with the bed and you want to keep it, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love it, you're going to get a 10-year warranty with it, which is amazing. I love my Birch mattress. I really do think you will too. Give it a try. Go to birchliving.com/healthyself, and you're going to get $200 off of your first mattress and those 2 free pillows that I was talking about. If you decide to purchase the mattress, send me a DM. Let me know. And then also let me know how you like it. I would love to know. Hey, all right, everyone. What a special guest. Do you know that me and Dr. Diane Fong go back so long? I'm talking about when I was just wet behind the ears learning about medicine, and we were in clinic together. And then all the way in the Bay Area, we're working together. And now she's in the Bay Area still doing amazing stuff the way it was when I left. But now we're going to learn a little bit more about what she's doing. She was on the show before, but this is all going to be in regards to detoxification. And man, how many shows I put out there talking about the importance of detox, environmental toxins, heavy metals. So now we got a guru with us. We got an expert with us. So I'm so happy to have you here, Dr. Diane Fong.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I said we go back. How far do we go back?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That's over a decade now or something like that.
But isn't it crazy that when we think about the timeline of time, it seemed like it was kind of like yesterday. But without speaking in cliche, like it really does seem like we tapped into that and it was just like recently.
Yeah, absolutely. You were interning together and then you were working at Natural Start Medicine.
Yeah.
And now here you are, which is so great. Educating everyone, which is awesome.
Yeah, you tell me your daughter's your height. When I left, she was up to your hip at most.
I know, right?
It's so crazy how time, it's hitting me a lot right before this interview, how much time flows and flies. But man, I loved working with you because you're so vigilant about people getting healthy. And it comes from the place that a lot of us naturopathic doctors have is we really care so much about people to get them healthy, but from the root cause. And we've sat together and like talked about patients when I was working there. We had whiteboards, we were drawing pictures. And I remember even before I came to Los Angeles, you were drawing a little bit of a funnel or like what seemed like a funnel.
Yep.
And it's interesting because that's been developed more so to be like a staple in your program now. But I want to talk a little bit about toxins. How inundated are we as people right now with toxins in the environment, in our food, in our water? How much are we getting from it?
I mean, everyone's walking around with toxins. So I think one of the big reasons we all have almost everyone has chronic symptoms. Fertility is such a big problem. When I look at my friends, my sister's friends, she's like a couple years younger than me, everybody's having fertility problems. And most of these problems are because we're all inundated with toxins. And it's literally in everything that we touch, everything we breathe, the water bottles you're drinking from, the pots and pans you're cooking from. And I think people just don't know that they're exposed to this high level of toxins all the time.
Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said, like we're resilient, right? We can take toxins, but when we're inundated every single day, and we're going to talk a little bit about that funnel, how it works, but that's why I grew passionate about it too.
Yeah.
Because I know how inundated we are and I know where they're coming from. So you mentioned a few things. What are the top places that people are exposed to toxins?
Well, I think it starts from the moment you wake up, the toothpaste you use, right? And then you grab your water bottle and it's made of plastic. Mm-hmm. You cook your food and you're cooking it in pots and pans. You're eating things like mercury, mm-hmm. like fish, tuna fish. Mm-hmm. And I would say so the biggest toxins I see in my practice are BPA, which comes from plastic. When I'm measuring this, and I almost measure it for every person, I measure environmental and heavy metals. I see BPA, I see glyphosate, and a whole plethora of pesticides, not just glyphosate. So that means people are eating GMO and conventional, so they're not eating organic. And they're drinking out of plastic, they're heating their food in plastic, et cetera. And then mercury, lead, and aluminum. Mercury, we're seeing from amalgams. So if you have those heavy metal fillings, those are made of 50% mercury. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I also treat patients like little babies, kids, who have mercury with no exposures. Like they're not eating tuna, they don't have amalgams. And what I'm noticing is that it's coming from mom. So I then look at mom and I look at grandma. Mm-hmm. Grandma has a ton of amalgams. Mom has a ton of amalgams. And I actually just wrote an article in NDNR about how the mercury, lead, aluminum, et cetera, it transfers through the placenta into the babies. Mm-hmm. So if mom had a lot of mercury, this was the case in my mom, she had all of her teeth had amalgams in them. I was born with now heavy metal toxicity, mercury. I probably got a couple more through vaccinations. And then I was left with very serious eczema. Mm-hmm. And when I would scratch, metals would leak out of me and I would smell it. I would smell metals. Whoa. Lead also, I think, is coming from especially the younger population. It was in 1978 houses that were kind of older than 1978. You have lead paint. So the older generations are probably transferring that down as well too. And we're getting lead from other sources. And then aluminum we have in deodorant and a bunch of other sources as well too. So those are some of the top toxins I see. And I'm testing everyone who comes through my practice. And I see that in almost everybody, some levels of those toxins.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing because you're gathering so much data with so many people because you're doing it with everyone who comes through. And you're starting to see that, right? And this is the argument I was making in residency. I was like, people are exposed to stuff. We should test more. We should test more. Yeah. We should test more. Mm-hmm. And I saw that in cancer. But for me, it's what does it look like when you have these toxins building up in the system over time, long, and then it's manifesting as a chronic disease like cancer? What I was seeing is the end stage of all of these toxins over time. Now, it's so nice to see that you're catching them early on and making interventions. I want to talk about heavy metals. They build up in the system. How detrimental can they be? Is there a certain system they have affinity for? What are you finding? Let's say Christian just has been exposed to heavy metals for the past 10 years. How are a lot of these patients coming to you in practice? What are you seeing?
So I'm treating a lot of skin disease. And that's one of the reasons for that is because I myself had eczema. And so I talk about my story all the time. And I think a lot of people want to work with someone who's dealt with it themselves. I used to have eczema all over my arms. And as you can see, it's now gone. And I think the skin is the first sign that you have some kind of toxin overload. And in my eczema patients, I'm finding mercury and lead in like even the babies in like 95 to 99% of these patients. And in the babies, we're doing hair tests, and the hair tests are coming up positive with mercury. So like skin disease, I mean, more than likely there's a toxin overload because the skin is a supplemental filter, right? So if the main exits aren't working, and those are your gut, your kidney, so out through the urine, out through the stool, your lungs, then where it's going to go out is through your skin. And so it's the first place we see problems. I see a lot of babies and kids with eczema. It's like one of the main problems I treat. My friends, like almost all of their kids have some version of eczema. It's because it's the body's first way of saying, okay, there's a problem, there's a toxin overload, let's get it out of the system. So when you're itching, you're actually trying to help those toxins leave the body. And so skin is kind of like, I usually say, okay, that's the first sign. So if you have hives, if you are like severely itchy when you get out of a hot shower, you go into a sauna, you get super itchy, those toxins are trying to release. But then after that, it's literally every other chronic disease that comes after that is related to those toxins.
Wow, it's incredible because how many people are listening? They go, wait a minute, every time I heat up in the gym or I'm doing hot yoga or I'm in the sauna, I'm getting really itchy under my arms, behind my knees and my legs. And we don't think like that. You know, I'm sure we can go into a conventional practice and that's never going to be brought up.
Right.
It's going to be, what's the remedy to take away the itching so you feel more comfortable?
Right.
But I love the way we're approaching this and looking at it. So when it comes to heavy metals, is all testing created the same? Like, how do we test for heavy metals?
So first of all, you can detect this in your yearly labs. So one of the things to look at, and actually on our website now, we're actually launching this new program and these new assessments. And one of the assessment is a lab assessment. So you get your yearly labs from your doc. Your doc, you know you have symptoms. You go to your doctor, and your doctor's like, "Oh, you're fine." And you're like, I don't feel fine. Why are you saying I'm fine? I'm not fine. They're like, oh, your labs are great. You're fine. There's nothing we can fix. And that's because they're looking for disease. If we're looking for optimal function, we're looking at different values, when our ranges are a little bit different. So on our website, there's this lab assessment. You can input your yearly labs, and you can see, if any of those labs are out of those optimal ranges. And there's some key labs that I'm looking at. Bilirubin. Bilirubin has to do with your gallbladder function. And if those levels are higher than 1, I usually say, okay, we might need to look at your gallbladder. You might have some congested bile. And that means your liver is congested and, it's either diet related, toxin related, et cetera. Your ALT and AST, those are liver enzymes. If those are elevated, then definitely even your doctor is going to say, okay, something's going on with your liver. I also look at platelets. So platelets are in your CBC. And if those are low, then those are telling me, okay, you might have some burden in your system. And that usually correlates with either parasites or heavy metals, et cetera. So I think that's one thing that people already have their labs. They can actually look at their labs and say, okay, let me put it into this calculator and let me see if, I should look further. Should I look further in terms of toxins? And then we also have this new assessment where you can actually, answer all these questions and say, okay, you actually have a lot of exposure to mercury, lead, aluminum, et cetera. So maybe let's test you. For testing for mercury, lead, I really like doing a challenge with DMSA or EDTA. DMSA, you actually have to get from your physician. EDTA is something that you could consider doing, on your own, but you'll still need a physician to order that lab. Blood tests, not so much. I don't feel that they're as accurate. I like red blood cell tests, but I could run a blood test on someone for mercury and it's normal. And then I run a challenge where we're actually chelating those metals out, pulling them out, and then they excrete into your urine. And then we see it there. So I really like those urine tests the best, where you actually pull out those metals, and it's called chelation. And then lastly, especially for kids, I'll use hair tests. And I think hair tests have some problems because if you have hair color, shampoos, those might cause some issues. But for kids especially, I think they're good, they're sufficient. And if they show up there, then they can indicate, okay, we might need to do some detoxification.
Yeah, that's really helpful because a lot of us can't go and just go to a functional doctor, naturopathic doctor, and get all of these fancy tests, but at least we have guidelines on our own yearly blood work that we can look at. And I guarantee a lot of people are pulling up their blood work right now. They're opening their portals and they're like, oh my God, what's my bilirubin?
Yeah. And it's bilirubin is actually number one. Like I see it, people come to my practice, they have severe eczema, bilirubin's like 1.7. And they're like, really? My doctor never told me that. My doctor never said that had to do with anything. And I'm like, well, yeah, because they kind of don't have anything to do for it.
Right.
And they'll typically wait till you're having a gallbladder attack before they do anything about it when it's time for gallbladder surgery. Right?
Yeah. So making the intervention right now and seeing that on paper is really helpful. So you mentioned kids, and I saw a quote somewhere, and I don't know where. It could be a medical textbook, could be an article. Someone could have said it, passing me by. But one of the best ways for a woman to detox is to get pregnant. Mercury. To detox mercury is to get pregnant. Because it's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it's true. Because it does get built up in the baby. So now we have baby come into this world pediatrically. How are these heavy metals manifesting? Do you see there's a lot of cognitive changes, behavioral changes?
So I think skin is one of the main symptoms, and then yes, later on you can definitely see the developmental problems, neurotransmitter issues, ADD, ADHD. All of those things can be linked to heavy metals. So when I treat those kids with autism, ADD, ADHD, any mental health issues, insomnia, bedwetting is also a neurotransmitter problem as well too. I'm seeing that there's heavy metals and other types of toxins like glyphosate, pesticides, BPA. Those are some of the main ones. Another one I see a lot are parabens, which we find in cosmetics and things like that.
So parabens are affecting the hormones.
Absolutely. So almost all of these toxins, they mess up your hormone endocrine systems and your neurotransmitter, all your brain chemicals as well too. And we actually have, so once you fill out this assessment on our website, you'll see a chart of, okay, these toxins are related to giving you Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism. And oftentimes when I see a Hashimoto's case, it's almost an equal sign to aluminum, lead, mercury, BPA, glyphosate, et cetera.
Yeah. This is the way I look at it all the time, because that's why I became so passionate about environmental medicine. You'll remember that there was a young patient who came in and she had tattoos and she was a hairdresser.
Yes.
And that was the first time it ever tipped me off, because we spoke about her case a few times. It was the first time it ever tipped me off that, wait a minute, you're a hairdresser. I see all your tattoos. Let's test. And this was right when I was out of residency where we weren't running those tests.
Right.
So I gave her the gamut of tests, and it was crazy. It was crazy to see a young woman who's like 32 at the time, had breast cancer, and her occupation, her exposures, all the chemicals that you find in a hair salon were really high.
Yep.
And hair dyes were really high.
Yep.
And tattoos were really high. And I was like, whoa. And it was that moment where I started really understanding environmental medicine. And I'm so happy you're doing this, especially with kids.
Yeah.
So now we have, okay, so you're seeing, everyone is like, oh my God, okay, I think I'm exposed to some stuff. I think my heavy metals are really high. The body, are you saying the body becomes overwhelmed over time when our organs or our munctaries are closed to detox? And are a lot of people's organs closed to detox, and why?
Yeah, a really good question. I liken it to a car. And, not newer cars, but older cars, if you guys remember, if you didn't flush your transmission fluid out, once a year, once every 2 years, the heavy metals would build up in the system. The transmission would break down and you would just have to replace your transmission. That's what's happening to our gallbladders, essentially. So our gallbladders are building up with bile. A lot of this has to do with diet, a buildup of cholesterol deposits. And one of the main reasons for that is actually too much sugar intake, right? So the same reasons we have high cholesterol is one of the reasons you would kind of fill up your gallbladder, almost like a transmission. I think it's a really great way to think of it. And then you take your car to the mechanic. Imagine what would happen if your mechanic said, oh, rub this cream on your car and the transmission will get better. And you're like, what? How is my transmission going to get better by using this cream? And that's what we're doing. We're going to our doctors. We have eczema, and actually our bilirubin's high or our gallbladder's congested. And we're going to our doctors, and our doctors are giving us a cream instead of actually fixing what we need to fix. Now, what is that? Well, number one, you have to stop eating too much sugar. You have to stop exposing yourself to non-organic food, glyphosate, pesticides, et cetera. So we just have to start checking off the list of the things you need to do. And that's what we try to create at Clean Body is an assessment that you can just take and say, okay, all right, these are all the things I need to do. And then we lead you through, okay, clean this up one at a time, and that's really what I found in my practice, which is why we tried to create something that's really accessible to people, is because that's what we're doing is just like, all right, checking it off. And it's just a whole list of things. And sometimes people feel super overwhelmed when they hear this information. I love the way you do it because you kind of give them small doses of it. But then we kind of say, okay, here are all the things you need to do. Like, oh my gosh. And typically it's just lifestyle. Like, what are you exposed to? What are you eating? And then the part of it is how to clean it up. And I think that's the part where we really need some support from a naturopathic doctor in terms of how to clean it up. But our transmissions are getting clogged because we are not taught how to clean it up. No doctor's teaching us how to detox. No conventional doctor is saying, hey, just like you're a mechanic, once a year, once every 2 years, you have to flush out your transmission. And so I call it flushing your funnel, and I call it the Clean Body funnel. And if that funnel starts to fill up with a whole bunch of stuff and it overflows, you're going to get symptoms. So we just have to flush it out once or twice a year. So I lead people through flushes at the beginning when we start working together. And then my suggestion is you flush out your system. You do a cleanse once or twice a year to keep it clean.
I love the transmission analogy because it does help us understand better how an intervention like putting something on top of it is going to not really do anything. It needs to be cleaned. I want to differentiate. A lot of people are like, well, the body can detox. We don't need any of this. Versus there's detoxes out there that says, like here's a $500 detox, buy these supplements, do this cycle and you're fine. You're doing something where it's magnifying our organs of elimination and optimizing those. So our body, you're working with the body's intelligence. That's what I'm trying to say. You're not selling a detox. You're working with the body to detox, which is important differentiation because a lot of people are like, is this a detox or are you helping my body detox? And that's what we're doing.
Right.
So I love that you're doing it from that approach, which is the naturopathic approach, right?
Right.
So you mentioned this funnel. What is the funnel? How does it work? The analogous funnel. How does it work? And maybe by illustrating it, people can understand, wait a minute, where's my funnel?
Yeah.
What's happening? What's the size of my funnel? Is it narrow? Is it clogged?
Yeah.
So let's run through that.
So we're called Clean Body. The reason we're called Clean Body is because a healthy body is a clean one. I mean, that's really when it comes down to it. And you're totally right. Cancer is the end result of having a dirty funnel for your entire life. And finally, your body says, I can't do this anymore, starts to actually try to fix itself by creating more cells. And what happens is you have cancer. So the Clean Body funnel is it's really kind of four things to focus on. Number one is your foundation doing well? And that is your diet, your lifestyle, and your exposures. So that's what you have control over. So I love this part of the funnel because we have so much control over this. And that's what your podcast does is teach everybody how to optimize that part of your funnel. So if you optimize that part, you're going to stop filling the funnel and you're going to optimize how big it is. Because if you do things like IR sauna, dry brushing, all these things you talk about, you're going to make that funnel a lot bigger. Okay. So it has a bigger capacity. Number two is stress and hormones. So if you are stressed out, your body shuts everything down. Your body says, hey, I'm in survival mode. I don't need to make a baby. I don't need to digest my food. I don't need to detox. I need to get the heck out of here because this bear is going to kill me. And everything turns on for you to survive. And I see so many patients who they're in survival mode and we can't get anything through their funnel. Their funnel is just totally shut down because their body's like, you know what? I don't need to do that right now. We don't need to detox. We need to get out of here. So that's really important. And so stress is like, I don't know, it is one of the top of the list things because if you're stressed, everything shuts down. So that's really important. And that determines the size of your funnel, okay? And then the next one is all of your exits. And so let me list them off. So you have your gut, and that's exiting via stool. You have your kidney, your urinary system, that's exiting via urine. Those are some of the main places. Then you have your lungs. You're actually exhaling toxins as well too. And you have your skin. Right. So your skin is another place. So when you sweat, you're actually sweating out toxins. People who have like an oversweating problem or sweating at night, their body's actually trying to excrete those toxins. And then you have your lymph, which is like, I like to call it your garbage disposal. So your cells do a bunch of things and then they excrete toxins and then your lymph kind of takes care of it. So that's why when you're sick, your lymph nodes get swollen. So we need to optimize all of those emunctories, those ways of getting the toxins out. And then lastly, your genes. Your genes predispose you for having a big or a small funnel. And these are talking about your detox pathways. And we can actually check this functionally. And that's another test available on our website too, is we can check your genes functionally and just kind of see, okay, do we need to optimize this? Do we need to optimize that? And really the genes are only telling us about your predisposition. So it's not exactly telling us, okay, this is definitely what's going on, but it's saying, okay, you may have these issues. And if you put more burden on your system, you will, the likelihood that this might happen is very possible. So those are the 4 pieces of the funnel. And we need to think about all of those, right? And that can be very overwhelming. So that's why we created this assessment. So fill it out and then you'll see, okay, which parts do I really need to focus on? And then kind of in comparing it to the detox in a box situation, what we'll try to do is like, okay, so your urinary system is clogged, your gut system is clogged, you're having constipation, you're super stressed out. So let's focus on those 3 things and really kind of individualize it to what's going on with you.
Right.
And we get that funnel clean, you have 0 symptoms. I mean, that's where everyone should be. No symptoms. You wake up, you feel great, you're just happy and literally no symptoms. That's where we want everyone to be.
I love that because there is a tie-in to the mental emotional part, right? When you say no symptoms, it's not just your skin clears up, right? Or you're feeling energized, but your mental, because you mentioned about neurotransmitters and heavy metals, there's a change in your mental emotional state where all of a sudden you feel a little bit happier, right? A little bit bright-eyed. And that's because everything is tied in, the mental, emotional, and the physical. So
absolutely.
And I love that you mentioned the neurotransmitters. It's cool because I did a live the other day. I was talking about a cup filling up. And I was like, listen, your cup may be resilient, way bigger. You may have a mason jar, I may have a shot glass, right? But through life, stress and genetics. That's the 2 things I said. And that's exactly true because stress and genetics, you can inherently be born with a bigger cup, but man, you could be really stressed.
Right.
And I could be like, life is great, my whole life, you know? And all of a sudden our cups change in size. So, the stress. So for that part of your program, what are some things that you do say? And I want to talk about stress because it's one of the major things that determines the size of the cup. Can't really change those genetics. What are some of the major things that help your patients with their stress?
So in my practice, I've developed what I am now calling emotional release therapy. And I put together a couple of therapies that just really worked for me, honestly. Which are kind of delving into traumas that we are holding on to, that we don't even know we're holding on to. And they don't even have to be these big T traumas. They could be little T traumas, right? And so I use the emotional release therapy to just kind of identify, okay, what are these traumas that you might be holding on to? And I kind of put together a couple of different ways of doing that. I use muscle testing. I muscle test the emotions, which is a very cool thing where it's almost like we do a lie detector test, asking your subconscious questions and figuring out where your subconscious is holding on to things. And then I do bilateral stimulation using noise, and I stimulate your brain right and left, right and left, right and left. What I like to say is when I do that, we're actually going into the library of your subconscious. And I kind of give these prompts. And when we're stimulating bilaterally, what's going to happen is your subconscious is going to go to the place we want it to go. Right. And then you're going to have dreams, memories, like just things pop up while I'm making these noises. And then you're going to tell me what those are. And then from there, we're going to go on this journey. And it's a super beautiful journey all the time. It's like we start here. Oh my God, this is such a traumatic situation. And again, it doesn't have to be this huge trauma. For me, one of mine was like when my sister was born, I felt my mom abandoned me, which she didn't really, but she just started loving my sister. And I felt like being the only child at that time, I felt abandoned. And so kind of start there and then lead you through all these library moments of your life. And at the end of it, you process it and really you're doing the work. And what you find is when you process it, you feel this lightness, like I don't know, like a huge weight has been lifted off you. And what you find is that weight you had been carrying causes a lot of stress. And it causes a lot of stress at work because maybe whatever happened when you were a kid makes you feel like you're not good enough at work. And so you always feel like you need to push hard and push hard and push hard, or for whatever reason. And so I find those stresses have to do with lots of earlier things, that triggers that we're carrying. And so we get triggered all the time, every day. We don't even know we're getting triggered. So by doing this work, you are actually doing the work. I'm just kind of leading you, holding your hand, and we clear all of that. And you end up feeling lighter, and then stress kind of melts away. Is really the best case scenario. And it's what happened to me. And it's, I would say 50% of my healing process of my chronic eczema, IBS, migraines, it was 50% is the emotional stuff.
The emotional state. And man, that's like my biggest passion right now is just talking about the mental emotional trauma that happens when we adapt as kids to a certain trauma. And it's crazy because we hold on to it. And think about, I always say like the resources of our body are like holding in this trauma. And, you know, it's taken away from nervous system, immune system, detoxification. It's just like, I'm holding it in. So to be able to release that is really, I mean, we're talking not just physical detox here. This is just the mental, emotional stuff. It's full clean body detox.
Like to me, clean body is mind and body. It's both. It's like all of your bodies, your energetic body, your physical body, your spiritual body, all of those things combined to really get this clean. And like you should see it like the energy is just flowing through a system. And that's when the system is clean. And when that happens, you just feel so happy, so fulfilled. You feel like you can live your life's purpose. So when we work with patients, it's not just that we're trying to get their physical body better. I'm trying to get them to the place where like, this is what you're supposed to be doing in your life. This is how you're supposed to contribute to the world.
Right.
And we figure that out in this process because of all this other healing we inherently have to go through, because that's the stress piece. And almost everyone has it. Everyone has it.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Because you said little t.
Yeah.
That's not just big trauma.
Right.
Everyone has these little T traumas.
Right. You might not have a big T trauma because, I mean, you may like, you know, I'm good. Like my life's been great. But then you uncover and you're like, okay, well, my sister was born and I felt abandoned. I mean, that's a little T trauma. But to me, it was big. It kind of colored the rest of all of my decisions in life. And it affected me on a daily basis. It made me feel like I had to push really hard, accomplish things, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And now there's a different reason I do things. So it's kind of like, okay, understanding the reasons why I do things, it's changed because I've processed all that.
Yeah, it's interesting because feeling abandoned and unseen, the adaptation overcompensation was to work hard to be seen.
Yeah,
and then all
exactly.
of a sudden you heal that part, but now you're still working hard.
Right,
and
for different reasons now.
For different reasons, right? Because now it's in alignment with your soul purpose. It's sort of like, the synchronicity is beautiful because although it was an adaptation, it was still leading you to the healing. And when you healed, you were still there, but now just with a different lens.
Yeah. And the different lens allows me to be less stressed about it. I don't have to do this or do that or be seen but I want to help a lot of people. And I want people to experience the type of healing I've experienced, where I really wake up and I can't, when I had eczema, I can't imagine not waking up every 5 minutes through the night, scratching, crying, bleeding. I can't imagine that.
Aside from the cosmetic.
Yeah, aside from even just the feeling of it, I would go to the bathroom. I wouldn't turn the light on. I don't want to see my skin. I would have a headache all the time. My gut was super bloated, and I have none of that. And that's why, to me, a clean body is one that's just super healthy. So if you're healthy, your body's clean, and that's where we want everyone to be.
And I love that you said energy flowing, because everything's open.
Yep.
Right. And then with that energy flowing, it allows more clarity onto everything.
Right.
There's a lot of people who are like, when I did a sense of purpose show, they were like, oh, I don't know my sense of, what is it? And we can lead them there, but really you have to be open to understanding. And so things flow, and then you get a flow of ideas, a full flow of inspiration. But when you're disconnected, aside from the physical, the mental, emotional, it can all really bog you down. So how long, I know it depends on like the burden, the toxic burden, but how long in general are people really starting to open up these, what you call emunctories, or we call emunctories? How long till they really start pooping nicely?
Yeah.
Like sweating nicely?
I would say a minimum of 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
So if you are committed to a couple of things, being vulnerable emotionally, because I will ask everyone we work with to just, let's see if there's anything we need to delve into there. The more someone clears the emotional stuff, the faster it's going to be. So that for sure. When I hit a wall with people, typically it's due to stress. I treat a lot of like night workers, like night shift workers, and oftentimes their circadian rhythm is just so messed up that we can do everything in the world to help them. And they, at the end of the day, they have to take a leave of absence. Otherwise, we won't be able to clear them. So that's where things can take longer. But if someone is open, vulnerable, ready to heal, 6 weeks would be a minimum time, let's say. If let's say their body's actually pretty clean, that they've done a really good job. They're like, Dr. Fong, I eat well. I listen to Dr. G's podcast. I do everything he says. And why do I still have symptoms? Right. A lot of times it's actually the emotional stuff, and they haven't even thought of it. They haven't even thought like, oh, there's emotional stuff.
Because we're not meant to, we're not thinking that everyone wants physical answers.
Yeah.
Right? But without understanding the mind and the body are connected to the physical. And many times the mind and body drives your physical symptoms, right?
Right.
So we have to, that has to be boom, let's go to this, heal that, and let's see if the body starts healing itself.
Right.
This is how we're taught. We're taught differently. But I have a question. There are a lot of people who go, Dr. G, you did your show on sweating, and every time I'm working out, I never sweat. Every time I do hot yoga, I never sweat.
Yep.
Every time I'm in the sauna, it takes me really long to sweat. What's the problem there?
When you are super toxic, your body actually shuts down the process of, it's an interesting thing. Your body shuts down this process of sweating. I actually have information on this on my IR sauna page on my website. Mm-hmm. And I say that actually your nervous system shuts it down. And part of it is the fight or flight mode. Your body shuts that down, and it just kind of turns that whole process off. And sometimes the toxins are actually blocking those mechanisms for sweating as well too. So in that way, we really need to get the lymphatic system moving. And I actually ask those people to do IR sauna just to kind of stimulate the system to start sweating. And then there's a problem of people over sweating too, right? And so I think both of those problems are actually both toxin issues, just different reasons why they're happening. Yeah,
it's awesome because I've been doing the IR sauna consistently again. We got it fired up and built up, and I noticed that I sweat easier, even when I'm outside, working out or working some sports. I'm a lot easier to sweat, but it's not over sweating. It's it's nice. I'm oh, this is good. This is how I should be.
Yeah.
But before that, I noticed that it took me a really long time to sweat. So it's interesting. You're right. The IR sauna is really something.
Yeah.
I preach.
It's awesome.
People.
I love it.
Yeah. Do you, how often do you recommend it for people?
So it depends on what you're going through. I think at least 2 or 3 times a week would be awesome. I think I try to do it at least that much in our office. So we have an IR sauna, and I at least try to do it 2 or 3 times a week. In addition to your regular exercising and moving the body. But it's really great, especially even for people who can't really exercise too much, who don't break a sweat when they exercise. This is almost like exercising while sitting down. It's pretty awesome.
Right. It's amazing because then you could just do creative stuff. Like, I freestyle rap in the sauna.
Yeah. I do crunches. I draw sometimes. It's pretty
really
great.
nice because it's also, you get time to yourself to just stop.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't really be on your phone. Your phone's going to overheat if you're on the sauna.
Right.
So then you're just like, what do I do? But it's really, I'm glad we brought that up. Okay. So all the people who are listening and viewing, you mentioned the website, but what is the website?
So it's cleanbody.health. You can access the free assessment there. And from there, that free assessment will tell you what labs might be beneficial for you. We also have a program there that's either an educational program where you get a free consultation with a health coach, or a full health coaching program. Or let's say you do this assessment and like you're really severe and you find there's a lot of heavy metals. You might want to do our medical program, which is a program with me. Unfortunately, right now, that's only available to California patients. But if you do all those things and we think you need medical support, we'll kind of give you support in terms of, okay, locally, where can you find a naturopathic doctor as well too? That's
really cool. Yeah. And your Instagram?
It's also cleanbody.health too. Okay. And then I'm also at drfong.nd.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. When are you going to write a book on this?
So we already wrote a book. Okay. And we're probably going to publish it at the beginning of 2022.
Okay, good.
And actually another really fun thing we're working on is I did a case study with a patient who had really severe eczema. She was on Dupixent, and I mean, her pictures from before and after are like phenomenal. We're actually releasing a documentary about that. Nice. Just because I wanted to show like what is all involved in the healing process, you know? And so she actually did weekly diaries. She took pictures. I mean, her pictures are phenomenal. Like you can see just eczema everywhere. And just 3 months out, her eczema is like virtually clear, off Dupixent, which is a pretty serious kind of immunosuppressant drug, and doing great. So we'll release that probably also around January 2022, which is really exciting. And my hope for that is just that people see, okay, this is possible, but also see that so much is involved. Like this patient had to dig deep. We had to do emotional work. We had to really clear a lot of traumas for her. She had to be super diligent about her diet. She had to do flushes. She had to do, colonics and IR sauna and PEMF therapy and red light. I mean, she did a bunch of things. And so when it's so severe, you have to do a lot to clean it up.
Exactly.
So my thing is, you guys out there, like if you have only a couple of symptoms, start cleaning up now. Yeah. Right? You don't need to wait till you have cancer or till you're so severe with eczema that you need Dupixent and now you're at the end of the line and you have to reach out to a naturopathic doctor and spend a lot of time and money. Do it now. Like if you have a little bit of eczema, let's clean it up now. Yeah. If you have gut problems, bloating, if you get headaches, like let's clean it up now. Those are all just signs. They're just alarm systems that something's wrong.
Fantastic, man. Spoken like a true naturopathic doctor, someone who's passionate about their work. I've admired you since college. It's in school. I still do. I love the work you're doing in the world. And thank you for coming on the show and dropping these bombs. The second time you're here, everyone go check out the other one from 2019. You dropped some bombs there.
Oh my gosh,
this one,
2 years. I can't believe it.
Yeah, but this one was such fire. And I appreciate you, Dr. Diane Fong.
Thank you so much.
Man, Dr. Diane Fong always comes with fire. I really hope that guest spot helped you out. As always, it's such an honor to be talking to you all. And at this point, I don't know how many viewers we're getting on average or listeners, but to every single person, so much love, so much joy, so much gratitude. I honor you all. And thank you for joining the show. I'll see you next week.